Watch! Hey, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to the second watch with Matt and Gary.
You know
What's
what it
going
is,
on?
Matt? It's
What's
not the
up?
volume. It's
What's-
not the volume.
Oh, God.
The
What? I
voice
turned
that
it down.
says second watch is
Yeah.
just horrible.
That's me.
And
Like, I purposefully made it loud so it's all crackly and stuff.
yeah, that's
That was an
what it
artistic
is.
choice.
It didn't.
Why are
Sometimes
you,
they don't
dude,
pan out.
Dude, don't
Sometimes
don't clip my wings, Gary. Don't clip my artistic wings, okay?
All right.
Please.
All right. How you doing, Matt?
I'm well. A bit of a flu earlier this week. I'm on the mend thanks to some meds, but I've been looking forward to this conversation tonight. I'm good to go. Been drinking coffee all afternoon and morning and night. The use. How about yourself?
There's been a lot of coffee. I am doing pretty well. I have no news. I got to play in a game this week. You, me, Brian, Bacon, and Chubby all got together for our Axe game. It was great. Thank you, Chubby.
I got finally. It's been a while since I could play, and I am playing it's easily become my favorite, very, very, very favorite character class of all time. Only in Alexander Macros's Buy This Axe. It is the Sporecaster. It is the weirdest thing. I swear to God, he channeled Lamentations of the Flame Princess. It's just so weird and awesome. I absolutely love it. We got our first our first super chat from Disco Barbarian. Thanks, brother. Good to see you. $10. Yard Dog brothers and sword sisters. This is for the Neon Sign Fund. That's right. I forgot about this. I'll crack a skull if spent on anything else. Now, entertain me. Thanks, buddy. Yeah, there's like a neon sign of the blue dark mage from Final Fantasy everyone wants me to buy. I just might, especially if the super chats keep coming. Anyway, real quick before we get our guest on, Rob Alderman, this is a new series, and I'll let Gary, because this is his brainchild, discuss it. Some real quick news. North Texas Con, the pre-sale tickets for games are up, and they're going quickly. So check that out if you're going to North Texas Con. My zine, The Living Darkness, is up on drive-thru, so please check that out. $9.99, 131 pages, 4 adventures, Shadow Dark. It's awesome. I'm really happy with it. Thanks again to James Bacon for the help on the layout and whatnot. And just want to pour one out for Chuck Norris. He passed away. One of the most badass dudes on the planet. But yeah, that's really all I got. Hit like, subscribe, bell icon, yada, yada, yada. Gary, what are we doing tonight exactly?
Well, tonight we are, I don't know if you guys know this, but Matt contacts me every once in a while. We don't have guests. We need topics. And I'm not good at thinking of things on the spot. And I thought, what's something that everybody looks up? And everybody looks up world building for role-playing games. And I said, you know what, Matt? Let's start a series. Let's get our buddies who have created the world and know a little bit about this to come on the show, and we will do a series on world building. We'll get down to brass tacks. And so we invited our good friend, Rob Alderman, to join us. And that's what tonight is. However, he is broadcasting live from Gary Con. Bring him in. Bring him in. Come on.
That was on me. There we go. There we go.
Hey! Coming to you live from Gary Con. Check it out. That's the bar. That's the bar.
Oh, it's still Lent. It's still Lent for me. I can't partake. So you're teasing.
Hey, Rob. How you doing,
it's holy water. It's holy water.
I'm good, Gary. Holy water.
Are you drinking, Rob?
No, I should be. The bar's right over there, but it's so far. It's so close, but so far.
I understand. They should have waitresses.
Got a quick super chat from Atmos, $5. Bruh, you have enough super chats, Mateos. You're sharing with Gary. Okay,
we'll see.
It might be able to pay for our trip to North Texas Con.
It might. That would be great.
So please keep them coming. All right. Thank you. by the way, at most. All right.
He's always starting shit in.
I
Anyway,
know,
sorry.
I know.
So anyway, Rob, we've had you on the show a few times, talk about Gods of the Forbidden North, and I find in a lot of that we really don't talk about Gods of the Forbidden North. We talk about the industry and we talk about this and that, but tonight we want to talk about world building. That seems to be a big topic that comes up on all the YouTube channels, and I think all of the advice on there, save for a few videos here and there, I think they're mostly bullshit. I think they just need something to talk about for their channel. So we thought we'd go to real people who built real worlds.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We even wrote questions down.
I know. We were
did
meditating.
everything.
Yeah, we were meditating on this. Should we be like behind the actor studio, be like that Lipton dude, and just sort of ask these poignant questions? And then we were like, we're the second watch. No, this is going to be the most shit show, unprofessional interview on the face of the planet. But
what do you know?
You're also assuming a certain level of caliber of guests, which I'm not sure.
Nah, well,
Tim, you rock. Tim, you rock.
Yes, we got us $2 super chat from Tim. Thank you very much, sir, for the super chat, and more importantly, backing Gods of the Forbidden North. I've been saying this over and over and over again. I really do think it's like the Lord of the Rings in terms of scope for your campaigns for the OSR. I absolutely love it. I'm running it. I'm still running it. It's just been an awesome experience. So one of the reasons why we wanted you, sir, to be the inaugural kickoff for this like quarterly every 3 months.
Say yes.
Yeah. Well, that too. But because you did something that's pretty amazing.
Thanks.
So yeah. So why not talk to the guy who built like this amazing world about world building?
Your mic's done. Mattias, your mic, you just went out.
Oh, okay. I'll fix it.
There you go. You're back now.
Okay.
All
All right.
I thought he had like such a deep voice that like
the
human ear could no longer hear.
The microphone's not capable of picking
when
up.
I hit that one tone, everyone will start defecating.
The brown note. So anyway, we did because we wanted to stay on topic. A lot of times we tend not to stay on topic. We made a quick list. But one of the first things I wanted to ask you before we get into God's Forbidden North and all that kind of stuff is, do you remember the first game world you played in? Was it yours or was it a store-bought campaign? Was it a box set or something like that?
Shadowrun.
Ah.
Yeah.
Did you? And
I was a decker with a shotgun and a limp and a bad attitude.
So, all right, but the first game world that you ran, was it yours or were you using? Because did Shadowrun have an implicit setting where I don't remember.
Shadowrun's got like second edition was the one I used. So like that whole world with like, I had this DM whose name was Jeff, and he was my first referee ever. And he would like do voices and everything, but kind of let you do whatever you wanted, at the same time. So he was like kind of like the best of both worlds, like the character actor type guy, and then but didn't railroad you either. Like kind of, if you wanted to do stupid stuff, you suffered, and so we did all kinds of dumb stuff. So like our first mission, like, our first run, I was like 12 and like, I kicked out a glass, jumped out, and like the guy brought the world to life though, to get it back to the world. And I mean, it's already a pre-written one, but he did a really great job, just not overloading us, but giving us just what we needed. And, our 12-year-old minds kind of did the rest.
Yeah.
So that was cool. That was very cool.
When you started running.
Hey, how you doing? Hey, what, are you on a stream? Yeah, he's on a stream. Sorry, I'm going to interrupt every now and then.
So when you started running games, did you run a box setting or did you just start creating your own settings?
Yeah, no, I first thing I ran was Planescape, second edition Planescape. I bought it was like, that was the cool thing to do at the time. So like my brother would like Dark Sun. I didn't want to be like my brother, so I was like Planescape, you know. So he starts buying all the Dark Sun books. I start buying all the Planescape books, and then one of us isn't there, the other one would sneak in and read the other one's shit, and then get mad if we like saw it out of order. Hey, you've been in here, haven't you? You know what I mean? That kind of stuff growing up. But yeah,
That's
I ran
hilarious.
Planescape. Yeah, and loved it. Just loved Planescape. Would always be. I would read a lot of the adventures and like, how can I thread all these adventures together to one giant super campaign? And that was kind of how I got into DM. And after that, I was the forever DM, Planescape for like at least 4 or 5 years. So
Yeah. Speaking of forever DM, man, we missed you last night at the game. There was my character went down. And
are you
even
dead?
though
Are you dead?
I
No.
saved him.
Even
The spore god saved him.
even though my character seems to really be a sort of a speciesist, he's and I don't think he likes women too much either. He's really not a nice fellow. He was raised by a dwarf, so maybe his opinions will change, maybe not, you never know. But anyway, it was good fun. I hope you can be there next week. It was a lot of fun. So all right,
I'm glad you're alive. I don't want to have to meet a new Gary. I want that character was great, dude. The mustache is like on point.
Oh yeah, no, he's alive. We're good. We're gonna make it. But like I said, he may have to change his opinion. It's called character growth. Because really, every chance I get, I tell a human not to trust the small ones. And then when somebody's like, "Do we have a wizard?" It's like, "Yes, but it is a woman." So I was really expecting they were just going to let me die. I really thought that was going to happen. But no,
I would have raised you into a spore zombie. Don't worry, you would have stuck around in spirit.
Yeah.
Quick $2 super chat from Robert Stanton saying thank you. Well, thank you for being here, man.
Thank you.
We really
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. All right.
All right. So I'm curious.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Sorry, Gods of the Forbidden North. When you started that, did you think? I mean, I'm sure you didn't think I'm going to write, 1,800 pages and three volumes and everything else. But what was the beginning of that? Was it as it started to come together into this thing that we call Gods of the Forbidden North? Were you thinking of themes? Was there a mechanical thing that you were doing that, like, what came first? You had an idea?
So it was piecemeal. So the first thing I did when I wrote was I started with a location, and I did the ruins of Fort Eichenvar. What happened was I did the Guzzler and that whole, if you read the chapter, and I wanted like an epic like assault type quest where you fight a big band of dudes and hopefully win, but it's kind of overwhelming, so you don't want to run in there. So there's a lot of like tactics and giving players the freedom to kind of be heroic at a lower level when it's usually don't think you will be, because usually you're fighting rats. So
Right.
I thought that would be cool. And then I thought, building it in like a swamp would give all these environmental aids that would make that like even easier and the players get more creative. And then I was like, I want like another island where there's a horror element, like a basement or something. So eventually that split the island in two. And then I was like, okay, I got my horror scenario, this weird, strange monster. And then I was like, where does this thing come from? What's it pointing towards? If I kept building this out, because originally when I wrote this, I wasn't thinking publish. I was just thinking write my own adventure, was just for the hell of it, like anyone else at home. And I started coming up with like a backstory to why is this thing there? What's it pointing to? Because I think of like, I'm a fiction writer, so I think in terms of like narrative arc. So like when a movie starts out, for example, if let's say the sun's coming up, like No Country for Old Men, the movie, by the end of the film, it's going to be something with the sun going down, or it's going to be nighttime, or it's going to be suggested it's nighttime through the story that Ed Tom's going to be telling about when he's, asleep. And so it's always the opposite. So fire, water, fire, white, dark, but it also could be like really hot fire, smoldering fire. It could, so you can play with that and kind of make it more subtle and not as expected, but still there's a point that's from point, A to B, like a battery, plus to negative or negative to plus, So when you're thinking in that term from a large overview of like a story from a beginning, middle, end, or an adventure with a beginning, middle, end, hook, complications, and then, conclusion, whatever, you start thinking about where it's going. And I just naturally went there. And so the next thing I wrote was the Tesseract of Time, which is the last chapter in volume 3. And those were the first 2 I wrote. And Fort Eichenbar was supposed to be sort of like the first major quest in my original idea of it. And the last chapter was going to be, where is it going, Cthulhu? And originally when I wrote him, it was much more like Cthulhu, because I wasn't thinking of publication. It was just Cthulhu. And then I said, wait, I can't do that. Well, I could, but I can't, I want to make my own guy. If I'm going to go do all this effort, might as well do my own, and it kind of went from there. So
I want to actually, because I know we've talked quite a bit about Gods of the Forbidden North and Castle Garthanon and your love of the Mega Dungeon. This is the first time I'm hearing that Fort Ivikar was the first thing you wrote. Like, I honestly thought the castle was like the starting point. So when did you shift from, okay, I have this fort, I have this like Cthulhu-esque final battle I'm looking towards? When did the Mega Dungeon come in?
So I kind of was a little out of order because I wasn't sitting there. Like, it wasn't like Rob right now, who was like if I sat down now and I was like, I'm going to go do a new product. Like, I know I'm going to be publishing it, right? Because I'm like established and blah, blah, blah. But back then I wasn't. So I wasn't really thinking in terms of like a business sense, like that kind of like being efficient with your time. Because I was just screwing around, writing and just for the fun of it. So I kind of did things a little slightly differently than I would have done them now professionally. So like when I started realizing that there was like, hey, there's a kind of a beginning point and ending point. I was thinking more in terms of my own home campaign. Like, I wasn't, what I would do my own players through. So then I started thinking, well, like, okay, well, what, I need some stuff in between that. Like, so what, and I was like, I love Mega Dungeons, right? So that's, I mean, a real simple term, that's what happened. But if I were doing this professionally, like, I'm trying to be efficient with my time and trying to write something as fast as possible. What I would really do is I would start with a conflict. I would start with a narrative arc, even if it's not with the character, because in a D&D game or Skyrim video game or whatever, like, a narrative designer doesn't know who the main character is because the player makes him and it's different every time. You have no idea.
Right.
I have no idea who the main characters are in any Gods of the Forbidden North campaign unless I'm sitting there, and I already wrote it and published it. So I had no idea who they were. So whenever you write for games like a Skyrim, or you write for like a product like an analog game like like Gods of the Forbidden North or whatever, you have to say, okay, well, how am I going to have a character? Or how am I going to have a successful like arc from beginning to middle to end? You don't hear a lot of this in the OSR because, sandbox, we don't have that.
Right.
You still have to have it, in my opinion, even if it's buried and doesn't feel that way in a sense. Even if the players don't access it or access it on the timeline that you normally would in a linear storytelling type mode. That's what they do with like Grand Theft Auto and games like that, where like you get to do whatever you want and run around, within the bounds of the game, run around, get blowjobs, do whatever you want. But guess what? Like, they all have some sort of doorway that's like the point of no return in a traditional like 3-act structure. Like, but you could play for 300 hours before you walk through it, but it's there. And then you could stop and go do something else again, but like, it's there. So you still have some kind of 3 or 5-act structure, and it's buried, but it's there. And there really is no game that doesn't have those. They have to have some of it, even if they're incomplete. But it's going to have a suggestion of where it's going, even when it's not complete, in my opinion. And I think this is how they design video games. Like, in video games are open world. They even have self-generating technology now. So like, you think of that, it's the same thing. It's just our imagination's what's doing it, right? So for me, if I were being efficient, I say, if I were actually like a narrative designer of a video game, I'd say, okay, who's my protagonist? Well, how is he or she going to change from beginning to end? So let's say I have like Superman needs to start out this way, and by the end he's jaded, or he starts out jaded, and by the end he's sure of himself, or whatever's going to happen with him. And then I say, well, how do I get there? And I'm going to go backwards, like backwards planning. Boom, 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 boom. But RPGs and D&D, you don't know who that is. So you offload it. You offload it from the character to the actual events. So like Skyrim has like a Dragonborn plot that's not focused on the character. It events. And what happens is a lot of times the trick to making there feel like there's an arc is to offload that onto an NPC, because the NPC can change because you know who that NPC is regardless of who they build. And so what happens is the player starts to get the feel of there's an arc for themselves that they generated by the way they react and influence and impact that NPC or NPCs or whatever, or faction or whatever it is that's the placeholder. You see, so like, for example, in Gods of Forbidden North Volume 3, that character in a lot of ways is Balor. It's Balor himself. You get to see his change, and the players get to react to how they see him change it. They can be mad about it, they can be like, feel pity, whatever that is, and they'll feel like they are changing in response to his arc. But his arc is there. You could find it all out of order, you know, like, yeah. But it's there, and I was thinking of an arc, you know, like, does that make sense?
Yeah,
it does make sense.
I want to get to a couple questions before we continue here. And we got a super chat from Atmost. This was from a little while ago. $2. Thank you, sir. Sorry for the interrupt. Rob, what do you drink?
I drink vodka cranberry or a craft IPA. I'll do one of those.
All right. I'm not sure. I'm assuming Atmos is there. He might make an appearance. I have no idea. Thank you,
Someone's
sir.
coming.
I think
someone's like, what now?
Yeah. And then we got one from Dying Breed. Do you prefer grand scale top-down world building or focus build from ground up world building? What are the advantages to your approach? That's a pretty good question.
So getting to that.
Yeah. So I figured I'd, ask.
Yeah, what I would do, I would start with a character. Like I said, you start with a character. Let's say we're designing a video game where you know the character is. We'll start there, and you'll see how it translates. So I know that character changes from beginning to end. I know if the character ends here, then I have to go backwards and how would I get from there? Start like if I know the character is going to go from sad, I need to know, okay, something's going to happen that's going to cause Happy Land and not be so happy. That's where you start. Right before that, then it happens. It's called an inciting incident. So what I would do is I would start with a character. And then what I would do is say, okay, with all that said, now I know all the events that have to happen to get that character to change, right? And so I would say, okay, well, if my character has to be sad, then he has to have something really sad, then sort of sad, then, you know what I mean? Like, I start plotting out the events. So Star Wars, Luke Skywalker is going to be a rebel hero by the end. In the beginning, he's a dumb farm boy with high aspirations, and he's already heroic. He just hasn't had a chance to prove it. Right. So what do I do? What's the moment you start? The moment right before he gets a chance to go with the rebellion, right? So the droid's showing up. Not long after that, Uncle Owen uproot.
Yeah.
And he gets to go, right? And then it's a point of no return. So it kind of writes itself if you have a protagonist, right? And that's what most linear type, like novels, screenplays, what you would do normally. You always start with that because that framework kind of just quickly determines everything, plots it out. Now, and with an RPG, you don't have a main character, right? The main character doesn't exist till they make them up. They change, they die, everything else, right? You have no idea. So what do you do then? So what you usually do is you try to start with some kind of a conflict or gameplay loop. So what I do is like let's say the game, there's OSR games where you're supposed to go around merchant caravan, like more of that than like dungeon exploration. So if like that's the point of the game and that's the main gameplay loop, then I'm going to say, why do they do that in this world? And I've got to give a really good reason and why they time because that's what we're going to be doing. So with D&D, what do? You delve. You find dungeons and you get freaking loot, especially in OSR games. So I would say, okay, we need to make a world that has that. So for me, it was Balor and his fallen kingdom, and he's got tons of stuff everywhere. It's littered all throughout the world, and it's waiting there. And it explains why that it's all mostly still there. You know, like because it just happened 20 years ago. You see how the story is the gameplay loop in this case. You also are trying to larger conflicts that can usually not be black and white, although they can be, like Rebel Alliance versus Empire. You can do that, that's fine. But like a lot of times making it a little more complicated. Not necessarily anti-hero gray crap, but like just no side is good and they all have good reasons for why they want what they want or why they, and it's not so easily understood who's right, wrong, or in fact, make it where the players get to decide who they think is bad and right. And that's it, right? And like, so Monty Cook, Arcana Evolved, the conflict is that basically in some, the giants show up at this continent where the spider, like humans and gnomes and the little people, and they're bad and they suck and they're evil and the giants kill them all, right? And they win. And everyone's like, yay, giants are liberated. But then guess what? Some of the people are like, I want to be free and I don't want to serve the giants, even though I'm grateful. And I'm kind of not being that grateful now.
Right.
And then others are like, no, we have to serve the giants, you see? And like, they kind of have points. And then the dragons show up. And the dragons say, hey, this is our land. And we're back. So thanks, giant, but get the hell out of here. But it's like, well, the giants actually freed everyone. Their land first. Does that mean they sold it? No, they just left. They took a summer vacation. So you see, there's like, every side kind of has a point. You could kind of make, the dragons are bad, or they're good, or they're neutral. And that was what Monty Cook did. So to me, starting with conflict is another great way to do it. So if you do it where it's like, hey, what's the gameplay loop? Answer the question of why you have to do this gameplay loop. And then build in some like pre-existing global, really interesting conflicts that could be taken multiple ways. And you've got yourself a really dynamic world that starts to run itself. So always have to start at the top. Like you might start at the bottom because like you're like, Fort Eichenbar, like me. And I don't know where I'm going with this yet. But eventually at some point I figured out, I'm going with this big product. And I had to stop. And then I had to do exactly everything I said. So to me, top down it's going to be the fastest, most consistent and most efficient way to build framework that's fun and engaging. You drill down and detail it later. And that's what I would do actually going back. If I could start over, it would have been a lot more efficient if I had done it that way. But I kind of
Yeah. Oh, real quick, we got a couple super chats here. Atmos says $2. Well, for $2, no cameras. So that tells me he's buying you a drink and he's finding you. So you'll know it's him. He's got a deep voice. I'm the only one who knows his secret identity. But and then we have $5 from Robert Stanton. Thank you, sir. My jaw would be worn out. I apologize. I'm not exactly sure what that was referring to. Probably from some comment from earlier when we were talking about my weird spore zombie doing things to Gary. Anyway, where did I want to go with that? Gary, help me out here.
You just take us off the path and expect me to guide you back to safety.
I know, yeah. Well, how about this? Because like you're talking a lot about. Oh, did you get your drink? Not yet.
No, he was just showing the crowd. He's letting us know he's having more fun than us.
There's more people down there now.
Yeah, it's getting bigger. So
wild.
So when you're putting pen to paper, like you said, you kind of started small. When you realized it was going to be bigger, you went up top. So I'm just curious, when you're putting together an adventure, let's say for this adventure, were you just graph paper? This is a practical question, totally practical. Were you just putting pencil to paper? Someone got a drink.
No, he doesn't want. He's got a secret identity, man. Atmos, good to see you, brother.
Identity now. Thank you so much.
Hello, Marius and Gary.
Hey, at most.
He looks
He
like
only-
a giant lumberjack with like wild hair and.
Here's the thing. He only has a secret identity. Hey, he only has a secret identity for me. He doesn't care if anybody else knows what he looks like. He just doesn't want me to know what he looks like. All right. So, practical question. When you're sitting down designing an adventure to run, friends, family, whoever, are you using pencil and paper, or do you have any apps that you're using, software, like just tools, anything special?
Piece of paper and a number 2 mechanical pencil in the beginning sketches. That's usually or a Word doc, one or the other. That's it.
And that's really all somebody at home should probably ever need. Just asking the question, because there's a lot of apps and people try to sell people a lot of stuff, and
No, I mean, you just have to think like, what's my core idea? What's the problem? Like, what's the situation? Like, or what's kind of wondrous about this place, and then kind of work backwards. To me, it's always about working backwards. Like, so like for example, one of the towers of Castle Tharganon is like, I thought of it really as a giant man cave of like a Dark Lord. What would that look like? What would it look like if you got to go into the Dark Lord's man cave? So I had like a D&D version of a pinup. I had like if you go read that chapter, it's like once you get to the top, it's like you're in Balor's like man cave, and you even find like in game, and it feels authentic. And I started with that idea.
Your audio goes, and then you're in his man cave. Toilet.
Sorry.
No, that's all right. It was hilarious. It was just toilet.
Just wave at me if it happens, and then I'll start.
You're
I'll
good.
repeat what I said.
You're good.
Sorry about that. It's a hotel Wi-Fi, so
we'll burn that place down if this interview doesn't work. Bad Wi-Fi.
Well, just like starting with like what's the big thing you really want there, or 2 things, and then how do they get there, and why do they get there? Within reason. Like, why would these guys go there? If it's too dangerous and most people wouldn't go there, well, you got to give them a good reason, right? Like, and this is where you see like a lot of things fail, and that's why I say to start that macro level, that global level, because before you get detailed and waste a lot of time writing this or that, if you already know, well, there's a weak reason for us to be going here, you see what I'm saying? Like, you might waste a lot of time designing that. So you want to stop and make sure that like those big brush strokes are solid before you, like I said, drill down. It's like making sure like you have the rough idea of how big the room is before you start doing all the smaller stuff about it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Well, and I kind of wanted to ask you, man, and I might have just forgot my question. It was a really good question too. God damn. Oh yeah. So everybody running Gods of the Forbidden North refers to it as sandbox. I don't know anybody running that game that is talking about a plot line or stories or anything like that. So, it's just odd to hear how you're planning and using the characters, yet everybody I know runs that as a sandbox. Did you try to hook the characters into that story, or what mechanisms did you use for them to experience these things with the NPCs?
So this happens on a large level and then on smaller little levels. So, and you see this in like episodic, like TV type structure. Like, so there has to be like a reason why they're going for the big plot thing that goes over the whole or even the whole show, and this little episode, right? And each little scene of each episode, there's always like a hook and a goal, right? Like kind of like you're headed towards. Why are they doing this? Why is this going on? So you think of it like, in my case, I thought, well, I don't want to start with a tavern opening. Like, I feel like that sometimes when you throw it to the players too early, you see like half or more of the groups fall apart. They can't even get a good reason why they're going to go together, or it seems really forced and just tropey. Because they're like, I'll just go with you, and even though that wouldn't really make sense. So, I mean, I love tavern opening like anybody. I've done it a million times. But, like, I wanted to start, like, in the middle of things. Like a pulpy thing. Like, Indiana Jones is already at the dungeon. So I was like, my version of that, which, you know, we could criticize, and I probably would do it differently now, but was give them something they know it's really valuable, but might lead to something even more valuable. And they already have it, and they all know it. And so it kind of comes out in the first scene, and then they can choose what they want to do with it. You know, they can go sell it. I talk about it. If they want to go sell it, if they want to run with it, they want to throw it away, I tell what happens in all those cases. You know, like, so they can do what they want. But I give them something that makes them, you know, greed is always greed and advancement is always a good D&D hook.
Well,
So
gold is XP, man. Gold is XP. So basically, it's not. They don't have to do it. And I just wanted to clarify this because we're talking a lot about story and NPCs, which I think might lead some people to think that we're talking about some sort of story arc or Dragonlance style modules where the characters sort of have to do this or have to do that. And that's not the case at all. You know, it's just you are giving them the motivation to go to this place or that place, and the lore and the story unfolds as they go. And that's proper sandbox. It seems to be a disconnect.
Right.
You know, that makes sense.
Yeah. I actually I stumbled upon a review of Gods of the Forbidden North, and I think this is one of these like stodgy grognards. I don't want to name names, but
name them. I'll take them out.
But he loved the world building, but like he kept going back to some of these like interconnected like setting locations, like, and I sort of felt like he completely missed the point. Like it was almost if he would have preferred these settings just existed disconnected from the lore, right? And that didn't make any sense to me. Like, to me, how are you to make a world come alive if you just if your settings aren't connected to sort of like, you know, these overarching structures as you were talking about, you know? I don't know. I just thought that was really weird, and for a weird criticism. But I guess how do I want to put this? When you decided to go from the fort to this end game with the not Cthulhu, and you started,
Cthulhu.
Yeah, the Rob Cthulhu. Did I guess well, where did the Forbidden North come from? Like, how did that spring out of all this ether?
Well, okay, so like after I was like Swamp and Tesseract of Time, I was like, boy, that's a big jump.
Right.
What's in between there? So I started thinking, what kind of land do I want? So originally I was like, traditional, boring D&D world. And I started going that direction. I was like, that's boring. That's been overdone. So then I was like, I was really into like cold stuff at the time. So I was just like, yeah, I'd just been to Alaska. So I was like, okay. I was like, but even that's been overdone, like in certain ways. You know, like a lot of, and they're great products. You see a lot of Viking stuff, which is cool. I love Vikings as much as next person, but I don't want it to be another Viking thing. So I was like, well, what else can I do? So I started thinking of like other cultures as like my starting point, other places. And so the first thing I thought immediately was, you know, I'd gotten to see and meet a few like of the, you know, Inuit people. And that was sort of my inspiration, obviously, for the Enaruk. And I thought that'd be cool. And then I'm an Empire fan because my dad like loves Ben-Hur, you know, all kinds of stuff. So like I started thinking like, what if the Roman Empire, instead of like Hadrian's Wall and in Europe, what if they were in Alaska? that was it. Like, and then I was like, well, that's kind of new. That's something you don't see every day. And I was like, see that framework? That's what I mean, going global. And then I was like, okay, that'll be my starting point. I'll have to make them different than Roman and Inuit, but that's my starting point, right? You always do that with your analog, right? I like that tree, and it's not going to be exactly that tree, but that's the one I want to be kind of like, you know? So you start there, and that's kind of where it went. After that, I started going, you know, what's the world look like? And I start, you know, from there, just kind of built the way it did, you know?
And how did the sort of the lore and that narrative influence, I guess, locations on your map, like, and all the adventuring nodes, as it were?
Well, like, Well, I knew when I started realizing it was going to be a big product, you know, I started going, well, I've always wanted, like, I think the perfect product, in my opinion, and the one I always like to buy and the one I always like to run is like the Wilderness Hex Crawl with an underworld connected and a giant mega dungeon and smaller dungeons all around. So if you get bored of one place, you can go to the other one, right? Like, there's always something to do. And so that was kind of like, you guys cut out? Did you guys lose me?
No,
No, we're here.
yeah, we got you.
I think I lost you guys.
Nope.
You're in and out a little bit.
There you
but
go.
you're
You got
mostly
me?
Good. Yep.
I heard you.
Just keep going.
Says
We'll let
my
you know,
Wi-Fi is
man.
good. You guys are freezing on me, though. I don't know what you guys, if I'm
You're-
freezing on you.
Well, on the stream, your picture is frozen, but
I
we're
can't
getting
hear
your
you guys
audio
at all.
just fine.
You guys are frozen like,
Uh-oh.
There he goes.
here, I'm gonna back out and jump.
Okay, I think he's
I
gonna
think
bail.
he said he was gonna back out.
Yeah. All right. Well,
We'll see what happens.
real quick, Robert Stan, thank you for the super chat. And Tim, I saw yours. I didn't want to interrupt Rob while he was doing what he was doing. Let's see if I can fix this here on our end. And then
He'll be
when
back. He'll
yeah.
be back.
But we'll get your question in there real quick once he gets back. And I see a couple other questions from Bacon and Chubby as well. So, but yeah, I don't know, man. When I've streamed at Arnicon and when I streamed at VentureCon, there was issues with the Wi-Fi. It's just the way it is, unfortunately.
Yeah,
So-
well, it's hotel Wi-Fi.
Yeah,
What do you do?
yeah.
You sending Rob a message?
Yeah.
All right. So no, I like that. When he was, that's something I never thought of, and I use NPCs all the time when I think about them, but I never think about sort of NPC growth.
Yeah, that's
and
different.
The way he's talking about using, like, there's a big story going on that the players might be a part of or might not be a part of. But when you know that these things are going to happen to these characters because you have control over it, that kind of changes the face of everything, and that's really clever.
Yeah, and well, I know I highlighted this comment from Dying Breed, which I'll get to in just a second. But yeah, like I know Legion of Myth likes to talk about setting up timelines and whatnot to help with the campaign.
You are, man.
There he is. He's back. But this
Sorry
sort of
about that.
ties that into. No, you're good, man. You're good.
My hotel Wi-Fi kicked me.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. Dying Breed says, this is all fascinating to me. It seems to be this strange combo of modern narrative and old school sandbox. I'm uncertain why this product is as great as it is with this disclosed philosophy.
I think he's. I'm not sure. Well, I don't think, when I read that, Rob, I don't read it like a adventure path.
Yeah, that's the thing.
You know what I mean? Like, I've never read it. Like, we were just talking while you were gone about how it was kind of cool to hear how you had used NPCs and their character arc to affect the world. But when I'm looking through Gods of the Forbidden North, I never detect an adventure path.
Yeah.
Or, there's connections and you hope your characters find those, but I never feel like, oh, if they don't do this, it's going to ruin the game.
Right.
I never get that feeling. So that's really cool. I've never heard anybody talk about it that way. So can you hear us? Are you okay? Are we breaking up?
Yeah, no, thank you. No, I appreciate you saying that, man. I mean, to me, when I hear the criticism, I mean, everyone has entitled to their opinion, but when I hear the criticism that's like adventure, but it's like because I use that word that they're like having a flinch. Like that's the impression I get personally.
Yeah.
Like, but it was not. I mean, yeah, there's A goes to B, it goes to C. You don't have to go that way. Like literally, I'm ripping off Skyrim. That's, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like they would have a carrot, and you could follow it, or you could do what I did and run off.
Yeah, well,
Exactly.
that's why I said I felt like that one article. It was from 10-foot Pool. I'll name him. That's why I felt like he missed the point. You know what I mean? Like I'm like, what am I supposed to do? Like, how is that fun to just have like this static hex map with like these little nodes? Like at that point, you're playing like an old school. Not even old school. You're just playing like some video game where everyone's just got those little exclamation points above their heads, and they'll always be there until you interact with it. It's like, well, that's not cool. I'd rather have like, okay, well, we didn't do this thing on this point, and we ignored it, but time has passed, so now this thing, when we go there, it's going to be far worse, or maybe it's easier. Who knows? But you know what I mean? Because things have changed. That's what I like about it. Dying Breed says, by the way, because he's like, I'm not trying to criticize, I'm trying to understand, no disrespect.
Oh, for sure, for sure. I think, and this was just a thought I had. This isn't to. If you were playing, right now, a lot of people are playing with larger groups. Like Tap's got his big game where he's got like hundreds of players. You could very easily do that with a large group of players, rotate in and out with different characters, and they have to bounce off each other and be like, hey, I found this key. Oh shit, you know what I have this, whatever it is. So it can be played any number of ways, and I think it's great. But I did want to ask you a question. Was there a particular problem or issue when you were doing this? Was there a particular like, oh shit, I didn't think of that, I have to solve this problem now?
Can we hold that question? Actually, I want to get to a few things that have been in the wings. Sorry. We got a super chat, $5 from Tim. Thank you so much for being patient.
It's got blocked.
Thank you.
Got blocked, Gary.
I know. Sorry, man. Hey, I gotta
pay the bills.
Well, we got
to keep Gary off the hotel room floor.
Yeah, I know.
You guys ever see that South Park episode where he's like, hold, and it's like the heavy metal one,
Oh,
like, that was Matt just hold.
You've talked a little bit about this
You're on
before.
stream. What up?
$5. Thank you, Tim. Again, thank you for being patient. Tell us more about the artwork. It's very varied in Volume 1. How did you decide?
My background is literary magazines. I used to work for literary magazines and run them, and so like when we did, our approach to art was very different than how I should have done it. Basically, it's like you get a bunch of different kinds of artists, and it's varied. And so like I was like, oh, money is no object. I will go and pay the most ridiculous price for every piece individually and just get it based on my taste. And that was basically what I did, which now as a businessman, I would never do. then I got stuck because like Volume 1 looks a certain way. So I was like, well, shoot, Volume 2 and 3 have to kind of look close enough that it's not, so I had to kind of keep that aesthetic going, and I tried to like not do it as much, but it was like too hard.
Yeah.
Next product.
Yeah. Too late.
We got a question from Better with Bacon. Was Big Trouble in Little China at all an inspiration?
Of course it was, Bacon. Is bacon the best meat to eat in the morning? Of course. Yes, it is, my friend. Oh, 100%. Like I took all my favorite movies and crammed them in. I was like, when I thought of like Castle Tharganon, like this Arctic, like icy castle on the lake, I was thinking Conan the Destroyer. Like remember like where he gets turned around and like,
yep.
Like that castle was so cool to me as a kid. So like that started that. I got inspired by clearly a lot of like Star Wars type villainy stuff, and then a mix of like when I got to Yagashan, I started thinking a lot of, of course, like Lopan.
Yeah.
The greatest villain of all time.
Yeah. My players, the Iron Price, their mercenary company, has just discovered, because they're in this like tenuous relationship with the Null-Kill Syndicate, but they just discovered that the Yagashan is looking for a green-eyed beauty, and they think they know who it is, and so now they're trying to like figure out a way to use her as bait to assassinate him. It's fantastic. Anyway, another question.
Big Trouble in Little China is an inspiration for life.
That's a D&D movie, like hardcore. It totally is.
Absolutely.
Chubby's got a question. How long will it take for a group of 7 PCs to complete the entire Gods of the Forbidden North trilogy arc?
You have to ask yourself, are you committed, Chubby? Are you going to meet regularly? Are you going to do this the right way? No, a long time. It would take a long time. There's more there than you'll probably ever need, but it's like Rapanathuk. Like most groups, even in Bill Webb's home game, never reach the bottom, but it's there. So like, I kind of viewed it the same way. Like, I'm going to give you more than you need, and there is a movement forward, and there kind of is an underlying, epic quest, whatever. Kind of, you can deal with it as you please, and it's like reactive, so it can sit there and wait for you. You can never do it. That's kind of the way I designed it intentionally, but. Yeah, it could take a long time, but I think most groups won't ever do that. But they have so much to do and so much fun stuff to do. Like Yaga Shan, a great villain. So much there. You don't even have to leave the city. There's so much to do in Valkengard, for example.
Yeah.
Like players could totally get distracted there, and they wouldn't be playing it wrong. And funny fact, by the way, Yaga Shan originally was going to be a beholder, and then
really,
Wizards of the Coast released that Xanathar, or whoever the crime boss were. I didn't never.
Yes.
And I was like,
Xanathar,
and I was like, so then I had to change him, so I don't want to spoil it, but I had to go in a totally different direction. So that's what
that makes sense now. That actually makes sense now. The Tower of the Eyes and all that stuff. Oh, that's interesting. We got a $5 super chat from Wib Stobson. Thanks, man. Rob Alderman, do a beer funnel bong from balcony to floor for us.
Woo!
Oh, I didn't mean to highlight that. Well, whatever. It's good. Yagashan, yeah, like I was actually talking to my players about the campaign because it got a little bumpy. I wasn't sure what they wanted to do, if they wanted to keep at it. They do. They're really enjoying it. They just have funny ways of showing it, I guess. But I mentioned to my one buddy, I'm like, Chubby's got a game and campaign, and it's completely different from what we're doing, and it's all based on player choice, which is new for my guys. They're very much used to like the hardcore railroad adventure paths. And I mentioned to him, like, they're out in the north and they're discovering all these things, and he looked at me, goes, that doesn't make sense to me at all. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, it's dangerous out there. There's too much stuff going on in Valkengard. I'd rather just hang out here. So I'm like, okay, all right, well, this is your story, man.
I'm just curious, Rob, as people have played this and you've heard people sort of game reports, have you heard any that really stick out? Because it seems like they're all different. Everybody's opening the same book, but having different games,
No, I mean, no real one they all stand out to me, because like it's like surreal every time someone comes and says, we've been playing your game for a year, 2 years. And I'm starting to hear that now. And then they start, well, what happened? And then they start telling me, and every single one of them does it totally differently. And one of the things that's been so exciting for me isn't really like that this group did this or that or whatever. It's that they all could do so many different things because the world is so rich that it allows, what I mean? There's so much there. Even with players that like actually end up doing a lot of their own stuff, like dropping their own dungeons or dropping modules, like there's room there. It doesn't have every hex detail, you know what I mean? Like it has a lot of them detailed, but
it's a big map. Yeah.
Yeah, I played
awesome.
Cool.
Deathfrost Doom is somewhere on Titherian now. So Lamentations I got choice. Yeah. And I actually also dropped, because of all the stuff that they're doing in Valkengard, I dropped a couple other city adventures from Lamentations in there. They got mad at me. They're like, how come we're playing this? And I said, because the past couple times we played, you show up and you have no idea what you want to do. So we're gonna play some Lamentations. So it's kind of like a negative reinforcement. Just start doing stuff, guys. Otherwise, I'm gonna kill you with Lamentation stuff. But anyway, but I want to go back to some of the lore stuff before we get to Gary's question. So it sounded like, well, you had said a couple times at this point that the way it started out, as you started out with the 4, then you had the Tesseract, and you started filling in the blanks, and then you've also been saying things like, if I had to do it again, I would do it differently. What would that look like? Did you hear me? Am I too soft?
Rob, did you catch that?
There you go. Sorry, I lost you. I'm sorry, I lost you. Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, sure. You've talked about how
sorry.
No, you're fine, dude. You don't need to apologize. You're good, dude. You talked about how how this project started kind of small, and then you started filling the blanks, and it became what it became. But you also seem to mention that you would do things a little differently. What would that look like if, like, you were to write Gods of the Forbidden North all over again? What would it look like?
Point and all that. I probably, I guess the first thing I'd probably do is I wouldn't have published anything until I was totally finished. Because
$2 from Matt Most. I got you more drinks, Rob. Just say when. Rob.
Just say when. No. Where are you? No, I would turn. This is too much fun, man. Did I tell you guys I saw Vince Vaughn today? Like, just casually walk. He just casually walked by me in his like basketball shorts, like he just woke up scratching his balls. You know what I mean? Like, right there, he like walks right by me and like right to a crowd of people. No one cared or saw it. I was like laughing my ass off. Like, nobody reacted. One guy goes, "Was that fucking Vince Vaughn?" And the other guy goes, "No." It's like the element of surprise. Walk out. No one will think twice. Anyway,
there he goes.
Getting go back and make sure everything's there, and tight. I think the things I would change is I probably would have shrunk the lake a little bit more to allow more land movement, like more paths, not just left or right or across, but like more paths around it. I would have shrunk it slightly, things like that. I would have. I like my beginning, but I realize like OSR players don't like that, and I think they knee-jerk reaction to it a lot of times, like, oh, he's railroading. No. I don't think I'm railroading. I'm just saying, like, I'm just giving you guys like a framework to like walk into making characters together. You don't have to play it that way. Like, you can just roll your character. Like some people, like a famous one is to wreck them on the coast. Just give them the Eye of Jakara. Read that little passage from that Eye of Jakara thing, and you got the eye and you crash. You don't know where they are. Go. And that's all you got to do.
Yeah.
What's that for 4 billion years and go do all kinds of stuff and ignore problem. Like, I guess, like, so I have a path. You show like an opening that's controlled. It's like it's wants to react negatively like that. And I say this from experience, who ran that and loved it, and then bought in. It every single.
Oh, I think we're losing you again.
Not. But I say that.
Yeah.
I feel like I would have. I would like take time, like different openings instead of just one. Like, I would have been like, one option is this. Two, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Players that react the way they do would see it different. A little differently, probably would have that criticism.
Yeah.
Hey, Rob, we're losing you
But,
back
I mean,
and forth a little bit. Rob, we're losing you a bit.
1 second.
All right. Let's see if he's able to come back. I didn't. Now I feel bad.
Yeah, it is what it is. When he said he was going to try to do this from GaryCon, I was like, well, we would probably have some technical issues because of the Wi-Fi at the hotel. It is what it is. I think he was talking about some of the criticism of that opening intro. And for those who don't know, like a vast majority of the book is this hex crawl, right, with like some really awesome locations that are detailed, but then there's a lot of these smaller locations that have like, a couple paragraphs or maybe like half a page or something. But the opening has this like a kind of character generation thing where like your characters are on the boat, and as the boat's coming into Vulcangard, you go step by step while you're talking to the captain and then the doctor who's checking you out and all this stuff. So it's a way of like just kind of building the party together while you're making your characters. And then there's this sort of, because of this Eye of Jakara thing that he's starting you out with, it leads you to one of the first major dungeon locations. But there's also sort of like this, I don't know, sort of like intro adventure where there's like this villain that you kind of know is chasing you and you'll have a confrontation with him. That's kind of adventure pathy, but and I think if you were a brand spanking new or like somewhat experienced game master, you would read this and think you had to do it, right? But if you're experienced and you've done this sort of thing for a long time, you don't have to. You can just erase it,
Right.
or just do
Well,
away
I was
with
going
it.
to tell you that was the worst question you could have asked him, because we've talked a few times, and he's like, I just want to go back and redo it. Like, I was like, hey, Rob, what are you going to work on next? No, I got it. You don't understand. I'm like, Rob, you need to. It's fine. It's fine.
No, yeah,
Rob.
it is
And
fine.
then-
I think, well, that's why I think a lot of the criticism that I and it's not a lot. It's not like I see a lot, but like I'm just going back to that 10-foot pole. I just sort of feel like he missed the point. Like, what perspective was this guy writing from? Like from a noob perspective, in which case maybe there's a point there, but maybe
Right.
not. Because the adventure path might actually help the noob, sort of like I get an idea of like what to do. And if you're, I mean, I don't know how many of you, Gary, I know you do this. I do this all the time. I get an adventure module or a hex crawl, or whatever, and I start hacking it. I just start doing whatever I want with it. I don't need to have.
That happens a lot.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that happens a lot. Hey, guys, I hate to do this, but I need to step away for a minute. Sorry about
Okay.
that.
Well, I'm
I
here
was
to
just-
say,
Yeah, I know. The second watch with Rob and Matt. I was just saying that I think, well, let me ask you this, because I was just commenting on different levels of experience with game masters. What do you recommend someone do? Right for the novice game master, or right for the more experienced one?
in terms of what, like
Presentation and structure of the game.
like a product.
Yeah.
Well, now that I've done this, obviously I learned a ton from, from what I did. A ton. It was quite a learning experience. I guess, from a publishing presentation standpoint, you kind of want to like, you see a lot. There's a lot of products that do this well, and I think they did this better than I did, a lot better. You'll see like newer, trendier products doing it. They'll be like, in this world, you really quickly, here's the rough gist of it. But they don't like overload you a lot of stuff, right? And then they just get to it. And then they start introducing new elements as you run into them. So like I would say, it's okay to have a 500 billion page backstory or whatever, as long as it's only what you see. And then you have to like organically feed it in a small little bits and pieces to them. So thinking of it from that perspective, how do you do that? Think of it like simple entry point. Like think of like big, real complicated like IPs, intellectual properties that start simple, but like get more complicated as they go. Like, so think of those simple entry points. So, hey, Indiana Jones opening. You've got the Eye of Jakara. It opens something called Morkal's Tomb. You're standing at the door in front of it.
Right. Yeah.
That's probably how I would have started out this time. Like, just that's it. And then they get back to town, like, and start figuring out other things as they run into them. Like just little things like that I slowly learned. I was trying to go for some epic ship thing in the beginning, but probably lost the forest of the trees. But that's what I would do. Like just starting right in the middle of it, make it simple, straightforward, give them an objective that's real simple, that no matter what background they make, they'll get into it. And that the players and the referee and everybody will get into it, right? You want the players to get into it. You want the referee to go, this is awesome. I'm going to run this ahead of my huge line of queue line of things that I got. I'm going to put this in the front because it's so cool. That's the other thing you're trying to do. So I guess that's the first thing. If you want to have some kind of history chapter, and it's going to be longer than a page or two, I would seriously think of like, what do the players need right now? So if you look at my history chapter, which I was just following typical old school, like most products, like just here's the continuity line, but now in hindsight, that was a mistake because that's not what the modern audience wants, right? So like they want the last paragraph or two that I wrote of that, and that's it, and like what's going on the last 5 years, whatever, what's going on last year, and the other stuff they can figure out later. So, and you can put it in the appendix or put it somewhere else, but if a player picks it up, opens it, looks at it, they go, ooh, that's a paragraph, or that's 3 paragraphs, or they go, that's 22 pages. Like, I'm not running that. That's a lot to remember. They don't have to remember it, but that's not what they think.
Right.
So,
right.
And that makes sense now. Like that's something I had to learn the hard way. I would say, don't do that. Like, you need to have a world doc or some kind of adventure doc, or depending on the size of your thing, maybe it's small and simple and easy. But if it gets bigger, you're going to want to have kind of like they do in real game design. You want some kind of world Bible, like world doc, but that doesn't necessarily mean your players see it. It's usually for the team. It's for the guys building it. And then you have to decide how much of that do I want to translate out to players, to the referee in this case, and so my latest thing is I would not have done that at all. In fact, I would have massaged most of the history into the, into the actual game itself and I did do that, but I wouldn't have even had nothing, just the first little paragraph. That's it. Go, and all that other stuff, N-worm, that you wouldn't have heard any of that. I wouldn't have done it, even though I like that chapter. I enjoyed writing it, but
I like that chapter too. As a quick aside, so I incorporated some of RPG Pundit's alternative magic systems.
Okay.
And one of the players, his first character was a magic user who could do dream magic, and he was rolling some crazy stuff. And so I started feeding him visions of the Endworm and whatnot. And when when he started reading the Black Book of Morkal, he got the void craziness and stuff. And he didn't know what was going on. He's just like, what is this? This is crazy. But it totally opened up a door into all that lore. But it seemed this kind of like ties into something I've been thinking about with world building and this, what we're trying to do with this new series. And it sounds like you're kind of touching upon like this balancing between like the deep lore of the world that you're working on and the actual usability of it at the table. And I think, again, I know you're pretty hard on yourself with respect to the background stuff, but like I'm the kind of guy who would read that. But you do a great job of integrating it throughout like some of the encounters on the world map and stuff. Can you just give a couple examples of like how you kind of like took that lore and presented it in like a gameable, usable fashion?
So like I want to say one quick point. You said you like it, and so do I, right? And that's because we're a certain type of gamer called a lore junkie. Yeah. And lore junkies are loud. Lore junkies can be like your free marketing, because if they love it, they'll go around telling everyone how great it is. But there's like 4 of them. And like everybody else is not a lore junkie, right? They're like they're called a mid-core or even less. They're casual gamers. And so what happens is like those people don't want that. Like but what happens is they listen to the lore junkie, So on one hand, you got to make the lore junkie happy from a marketing business standpoint. But on the other hand, you got to make the average guy who reads it, who's not a lore junkie, feel like this isn't too hard for me to run, so that they run it and all this stuff. I appeal to a lore junkie, and that's like Tolkien and Matt and me. We want the deep lore that nobody's ever gonna. That's what we want. That's. But like that we're a small percentage and we're vocal and we need to shut up. So I guess like that's one thing I would say is when you're writing it, you want it. That's why I say have a lore Bible, have like the lore so it's there and it's informing your decisions, so that even if you don't explain it, when a player encounters this or that, they're like, I don't know how that makes sense. And one day it clicks and they go, oh my God, and that's a big moment, right?
Yeah.
That's important, I think, for fantasy and sci-fi. But at the same time, you don't want to like, here's my 800-page lore that only Matt, Rob, and Tolkien are going to read it. Like, so that's probably like now knowing what I know, I would have hit it or put it in some special only Matt and I would have bought. So that's the first thing. In terms of like how you get this stuff across. So let's say you got like the Endworm and he like, he's Cthulhu Part 2. So like I've got like a cave where like you come across like this strange idol and it's like got, instead of a head, these tentacles and some are broken off. So like imagine like you didn't know any of this stuff. You walk, you find that cave, right? What's your first thought? The player, and this is true in video games and role-playing games, this is true in fiction in general, in horror especially. Horror relies on the imagination filling in the gaps.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So like you find like Friday the 13th, right? There's this dude, someone's killing people. And then you walk in this cabin in the middle of the woods and you're like, oh, I've never been to this part of the woods. And then you open the door up and there's like, it's like filthy and there's roaches and there's like, it looks like Resident Evil 7. You open the door up and then you get in the back. And I mean, you just learned a lot about what is this place, right? Your mind's racing. You're starting to fill in the gaps. And then you open that back door and there's like a strange, weird altar with a woman's head and candles around it. And you're like, okay, we're out here. And you do that because you start filling the gaps and go, I don't like how 2 + 2 equals what I think it equals. And you get out of there, right? And like, you think it's still a person, right? And then, pillowcase head turns into sloth, the blue sloth from the Goonies, right?
Right, yeah.
Right, and now all your horror is realized. But like in pieces, you start to fill in the gaps. Nobody sat around telling you the story of what happened. You see the objects and you start filling in the gaps. So, and for me, like I would have, if I could go back, I would have just the little part of the opening and the rest of that would have it's called narbing, narrative bits, narrative fragmenting. So you write down, like I took my 22-page chapter, wrote it down, but I would never show it anymore. Now I would say, how do I show this through objectification, like objects in the environment? How do I use environmental storytelling to get this across? Let the players fill in the gap. So like, for example, in the Tesseract of Time, you see this almost sort of angelic figure, and if Volthum, the big bad guy, my Cthulhu, comes across him, he runs up in a rage and rips him apart, and the thing regenerates. And every time he sees it, he runs up. So he's pissed at that guy for some reason.
Right.
And you start to go, he's stuck here. Maybe that guy you see, you can put that together without some, Tolkien-esque Silmarillion ballad that Matt and I would read.
Real quick, we got a super chat from Robert Stanton. Thank you very much. $5. I'm usually quiet. This is fantastic. Don't mind me. I absolutely love this. Thank you. Well, thank you, sir. We appreciate you. And I have a feeling we're losing Rob again. Uh-oh. Let me text him. Let me text him again.
There he is.
Oh,
I hear the background noise. We're back at the party. That party's
this
too
hotel
rowdy.
boots everyone every like 10 minutes.
That's all right.
Okay.
I don't know if you heard the last thing I said, but
I don't think I think we lost it, but it's all right. I just read a super chat real quick, and we got another one from Tim. Not a super chat, but a question. He's asking if I can All right, Rob, would you ever do an introductory adventure for solo play in Gods of the Forbidden North?
I mean, I would if I knew. Like, I know a little bit about solo play, but I haven't really investigated much. Like, I'm just pulling my head out for air out of like the trilogy. But like, and I've looked a little couple things for solo play, and it sounds interesting. But I'd have to learn more about it before I did it. But I'm sure it's not that hard. I'm assuming there's like a mechanic that kind of just acts as a referee, kind of like that's the gist of it, right? So I would just need to read more about that. And then, and that's actually, by the way, if I were to redo Gods like Volume 1, I think that's where the most work needs. I think the other two are really pretty good. Like I'm pretty happy with them. But that first one, like I'd probably take that intro and like maybe only slightly change it, but I'd probably keep that as like a solo thing. If I were to do that, I'd be like, hey, if you have a solo entry or you want this type of group, this is a good one. If you don't want that, here's another one. Here's another one. To give like 4 or 5 different openings.
Right.
But I've had a lot of people ask me about the solo thing. I keep going, oh, you better go look at that. You better go look, and then I forget. So thank you for reminding me, Robert.
I was telling Matt when you cut out, I said, Matt, I talked to Rob once. That's the worst question you could have asked him because he wants to change everything. He already told me. He said he wants to go do a remix.
Do it all over again.
Which I think is horrible. It's please don't do it. It's like colorizing black and white movies. The next thing you do. I'm a big fan, Rob, and I think when I look at Gods of the Forbidden North, I don't see the bumps and warts and everything that you do. Like I see something that's put together real well, and I think it'd be a shame for you to give a Turner Classic Movie version of Gods of the Forbidden North.
Yeah. Yeah, and
I don't, please.
Yeah. I don't think you need to redo it at all. I like it the way it is. Yeah. I don't know. And we were kind of chatting a little bit during some of the cutting out earlier. And it was prompted me to ask you about writing for newbie DMs versus more experienced game masters. I think in the hands of an experienced game master, the way you designed it, they're going to be able to use it, and even with someone who's new, they can still use it. But Atmos, real quick, man. I'm starting to have some tech issues on my end. I can no longer see the chat, like the master chat. But I did. If you're talking about your super chat, the $2, I got you for more drinks, Rob. Just say when. I did show that earlier, and I think Rob was bellowing for more. I don't remember. I think he wants a double too. Make it a double on me.
So
I'll get
you. Look at this crowd, Matt. Look at this crowd.
I know. Where is Gary Connick? Where are you at exactly?
See?
I know, that's nuts. That is crazy. It's making me I think Gary said this in our group chat earlier. It's making me anxious for North Texas Con. I'm feeling the same way. I can't wait. I honestly can't wait.
I was going to tell you, Matt, I think my laptop has 3% batteries. The next time I go, I won't come back. All right. I just want to warn you. Get your last questions in.
All right, Gary, you did have one that I interrupted like a half hour ago.
Oh, you think I remember that far back?
I do.
No, I think mine was real simple. I was just curious if there was, when you were writing it, if there was any problem. Like, was there anything that you had to, like, oh, does this work? Does that work? That you had to put extra thought into? Any of the details? Like, were there any I don't know, man.
Oh gosh, so much. One of the problems I had, and I'll try to answer this fast, is like I had to, because of the size and the scope and the way I started it, and I had to finish it that way. Basically, like, I had to do 3 Kickstarters. Like some people were pissed about it, and I totally understand why. Like they wanted to make a dungeon the first time. I did give those people what they wanted. Finally, they got it all free after that. So, Mega Dungeon delivered, dudes. Yeah. But anyway, told you I was gonna do it. Anyway, where was I going with this? I was worried about working myself into like like George R. R. Martin did. That's why he never writes the last book because he's like, I don't know what to do. You know? So like, I was worried about that myself. But the thing that saved me was that I had written that last chapter first, so I still knew where I was going, even though I did make changes to that last chapter. I think Matt was actually there. He was one of my first backers, and Matt saw like I'd sent out like a Tesseract draft, like from it's like pretty, you know, it's similar, but it's different.
Yeah.
But like at least I had that there of kind of knowing where I wanted to go, so I always kind of had a place. But sometimes there were spots where like, how do I get there? And I kept running into like lore issues, you know, like volume 2, why would this guy have this? Volume 3, why is that? And there was a lot of them. You know, I'd have to think about it for a second, but some of the problems I had. What was that?
No, I said that's fine. You don't have to think about it, but it is good. I'd say it's good to know. It's good to hear that sometimes you look at something like that and you think, oh, I could never do that. I bet he just knew how to do that and had it all planned out. And, you know, there's going to be problems and you'll have to work it out.
Sure.
But I do want to get to us before your computer runs out. We have a super chat, correct?
Another one from Atmos, $5. Gary Kahn has kegs of spotted cow at every corner of the corpse of this Playboy mansion turned resort. Has history. Sounds awesome. I wish I could be there. Thank you, Atmos. Really appreciate it. Spotted cow's good. I drink it when I'm over at VentureCon, which I hope to see you at Atmos. I might be bringing 2 of my buddies with me this year because I suspect this will be the last VentureCon. That's just my suspicions. But anyway, I wanted to follow up with, like what you were. It is interesting that like this is a process, right? You just didn't like have like this whole thing. Like you were building as you went, and are there anything, I guess, less about like the hardest thing about doing it, but was there anything you discovered in designing the world as you were going along that you didn't realize you needed to think about when you first started? Does that question make sense? I hope it did.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. I'm just wow. Let me think. Shoot. I mean, like I guess in terms of like you mean like in terms of writing and designing in general, or like just about the world itself, like.
I would say about the world itself, because I mean you have talked about general and you had like a lot of great advice and discoveries, but Tetherian, the Forbidden North, Tharganon, the whole 9, like you had this idea and you started developing it. Did you run into things that you didn't realize you needed to think harder about, more about?
Yeah. So I had built in without realizing it a lot of philosophy and physics as I developed this world Bible. And one day it kind of all clicked that I had moved everything was building to something I didn't see until I was like literally the last 2 chapters of the book. I was like just 6 months ago or whatever. And I was like, woo! I almost dropped my drink. Like, oh my God. I had no idea I was building one of those like Gadzooks, like Eureka moments and it was like just incredible from where I don't know if it'll come across to readers, but yeah, I there was this moment where things I had woven in that I guess had randomly chosen had just been exactly how physics work at a cosmological level, like things like that, and just in a lot of other ways and other disciplines kind of all wove together. It was just incredible. It was like, whoa, it was a big deal. The lumberjack has returned. His blonde hair. It's like Jason Momoa, but blonde hair, and he's always shirtless. And his voice is so deep, and Momoa's sexy. Thank you, sir. I'm at 1%, Matt. It's about to die.
All right, we need to let this guy go, Matt. We need to.
I don't want to go. I don't want to go.
Oh, Rob, you need to go be with your people and drink. Put this computer away. Go have fun. We'll see you at North Texas, though. That's only a couple months away, a few months away.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to it. I cannot wait. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, we're going to party, man.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Matt's buying my drinks. No,
Yeah, I
don't
know, I
We'll
always
see.
do.
We'll see if Chubby can kill our characters when we're face to face with him.
I was gonna say it starts on a Thursday night, and that is game night. You know, I don't know if we should cancel our game just because. Oh, there he goes.
Oh, we just lost him.
He's on 0% now.
Yeah. Oh, no. Wait, is he trying to get back in? What is going
I
on?
doubt it.
I'm gonna just see what happens. Oh, oh.
No, there's
Nah,
no
I
way.
think I think
he's done for.
Yeah, he's gone. Oh well.
He said he wasn't coming back if this happened again. So
Yeah. Well, SOL stuff happens. Well, I'm glad I'm glad we were able to talk to him about that. He learned so much doing this project, and we know this because we've talked to him a bunch, both publicly and privately. And I just really appreciate how honest, and he's like an open book. You know what I mean? Like where some creators are going to, they're going to put on their salesman face, right? And they have an answer for everything, and everything's perfect, and they conceived the whole thing in a fever dream, and like Jack Kerouac pumped it out in a weekend.
right.
Rob's like, yeah, it took me a long time, and I really appreciate his honesty about that. And I can't say enough about Gods of the Mid-North. Like, I can't wait to get the third book finally. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I have the PDF, and which I find a perfectly acceptable way to read things. You should invest in a nice tablet, Matt. It's great. So, and I have read through it, and one of the questions I wanted to ask Rob, and I will ask him either next time he's on the show or when I see him in North Texas. Rob has a literature degree.
Yeah.
Like he's a writer.
Yeah.
A real writer. And I kind of, I'm like, so are you ever going to write, Baylor's story or any of these things? Because I think that would be really fun. I think it'd be fun to read that stuff. So,
yeah, well, and we're going to be having Ben Gibson on in the next month because he's got some stuff to talk about. One of which is that he's writing a short story for Alexander Macris, some anthology that's coming out all about the Aran Empire, which is going to help with the world building of Macris's world. Hopefully, knock on wood, he'll join us to talk about that at some point as well. Nice. But I think that would be awesome for what, because there's so much more than just Tetherian, that the Forbidden North, that continent. There's like this whole other continent or series of continents where all kinds of crap is going on. I've played it up in my game where Valkengard, like the Hadean Empire has collapsed. Instead of like 20 years ago, it was like a little bit closer in time, like 5 years ago. And so there's like all this civil war, and people are just coming to Valkengard because it's away from it all. But little do they know, there's all this weird stuff going on up in the Forbidden North. So that's where you're getting all these mercenaries and these adventuring types coming in to adventure. So, but yeah, I think that would be great. I wonder too, well, maybe not wonder, but I think his literature degree and his background really informed how he approached the project. Like if we had, and we will talk to Chubby about this eventually, and talk to him about his focus on world design, I have a feeling it's going to be vastly different. You know what I mean? Just based on some of the videos he's put out, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. But at the same time, everybody's dealing with the same issues.
Yeah.
It's not like when we were talking to Rob, we've both been DMs for so long that, how many times have we drawn out a continent map and put cities down? And so it's all the same questions that we're all trying to answer. They're just doing it in front of everybody. And I'm thinking that Chubby has I don't know for a fact, and we can ask him, but I'm thinking it's very systematic.
Oh yeah.
Just watching his videos, I think I've got to get this, and that, which in a way is exactly what Rob was talking about. And I thought it was really cool the way he used the character arc.
Yeah.
As sort of the arc for the geography, for the
that
are happening.
Yeah.
Right?
That was very different.
Those are the changes I thought that was really, really cool. So anyway, yeah, so that's volume 1.
I know.
Pulled it off without it. Well, so guys, in case you're wondering, what we wanted to do is we want to start like sort of a quarterly series on these sort of evergreen RPG topics. And if you type world building into internet search browser, world building for RPGs, a lot of stuff is going to come up.
Yeah.
In fact, there's people going to try to sell you things.
Yep.
If you put it into the right browser. So we thought we would do this, and Rob's a really good friend, and I think he's what do you call it? He's in post product celebration mode. I think he is done.
Yeah,
So
he's resting his brain. It's 9 years of his life dedicated to this thing. I can't even imagine.
I can't do it. And what's funny is I wonder, I think one of the things that as the series continues, Rob knew at some point when he was doing this, you know what, I'm going to finish this and I'm going to try and sell it. Right. And I think when you're going to publish, I'm not talking about the choices you make in the story or anything like that, but it's got to change the way you think about it. In fact, I would say he almost even I think that's what he was saying, is that he started out small, and when he realized it was going to become, a product, that's when he had to go big. So,
whoa. Holy smokes. I can't. Okay, Rob, I'm going to, I can't highlight your super chat because there's something going on my end. But you just gave us $100, dude. Thank you so much. I am paying it forward. I'm going to order his 3rd book. Give it to someone that deserves it. I love his books. Rob, that is really awesome of you. Holy crap. If you're going to be at North Texas Con, please come and find me. I
think this is the same. Robert, are you the guy that we played Walking Dead with at North Texas Con with Rob? I'm just curious. If not, that's fine too. I just thought I might know who you are. So anyway, thank you so much.
That's really
the bone.
Yeah, really, really awesome of you. Thank you very much. Wow. Yeah, but if I bump any con that that I'm at, come find me. I'll buy you a drink or several. Yeah, I have no idea what's going on. Restream changed its interface yet again. Something was quote unquote updated. Things are not working the way they're supposed to be back tonight. I wouldn't be surprised if that's also playing a role with some of the problems we were having with Rob's connection.
I blame every technical issue I have on your setup, just so you know.
Oh, all right.
Never blame it on mine. Although when I was having internet problems when the cable guy came, he was trying to tell me something, and basically he said, "Hey, you're at 11. You're never supposed to go lower than 9." And I was like, "Where was I at?" He's like, 1.5, 2. So, hopefully, I got all that worked out. But yeah, I think it's going to be real interesting to see how different people do things differently. And, I think, like I was saying before, that it's, there's a difference between when you're kind of doing it for your home game and when that you're going to try to publish. I think that changes the way you sort of your design philosophy, because you do need to have that direction. And I don't think it's a bad idea to do that for your home game, but I think most folks you're going to find, I think most people are going to start small and it's going to grow out bit by bit.
So, I know for me, home game wise, I got all this stuff up here in my head. I don't need to write it down. You know what I mean? I just need to have what I need to put on my map. And I already, I already know how to respond to when the players interact with whatever's on the map or whatever NPC or faction or whatever. But if I were to try to take that and put it out, and it would be very different. And I would have to take into consideration about the modern audience and versus like what I would prefer, and I would consult Rob if I were going to do something like that. Like, should I put this like 10-page lore dump in an appendix versus the front of the book or whatever, and just that sort of thing. So But yeah, I agree. I think you're going to have different considerations, but at the same time, I think a lot of the concerns about the design of the world, I think, is going to translate regardless whether it's personal use or for sale. I mean, you are building a world that you hope will be deemed a living, breathing thing that players are going to interact with and enjoy exploring. So, I know for me, I've been on this exploration kick, and I think it's because of Gods of the Forbidden North. There's a lot to digest, and I've read it, but I don't remember everything. So when my
Right.
players go into a hex, and I'm like, "What's in here?" Oh crap, it's this thing, and it's like, "Oh, I wonder what's going to happen now." I really like the exploration and the discovery of the unknown and all that stuff. And I'm curious as to, has anyone attempted to just create something that's like almost like an entire, like a blank slate, and then but with like procedures? Well, I think I already know the answer to this. It's the worlds without number, right? But and just like make where discovery and exploration is the main focus of the world design, as opposed to some overarching
Well,
plot
yeah,
that,
and
you know
that's
what
the
I mean?
thing. Well, for sure, and I think if you look at Gods of the Forbidden North, like especially, you're not going to find a lot of, or so far as I can think about it, you're not going to find a lot of like new mechanics, right? You're not going to find a lot of a ton of new tables or anything like that. This is for this, you're going to
Yeah,
use this game to play in this world. Um, Whereas I think some, yeah, what you're talking about is more mechanical style
yeah,
of, if we're going to do it, I want the means and ways of doing exploration. That sounds fun. Stars without number. I think,
oh, I know, yeah, 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 yeah.
I think that'd be a
um
great game to do something like that. And, you know, there's also, the idea of no prep. And I don't know, I don't know everything, like really no prep, like none at all. Like nothing. Like I understand, let's not sit down and write a bunch of pages, but nothing, that seems a little bit odd. Um, and I guess, Mr. Alderman is the example of like way pre-prep, prep. So there's definitely a balance. I can't read that. What does that say?
Gods of the North was built originally for old school essentials.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
um what was I going to say? Oh, well, I run my campaign basically no prep. I mean, but that's because all the prep's been done for me. I bought the book and I'm just reading from it. But if it was my homebrew world, I mean, we used to argue with me all the time about this back on the old podcast days, where I'd like, yeah, I wrote 7 pages of this, that, and the other thing. Um and you're like, why are you doing that? I'm like, so it's in my head and I have something to reference while my players are doing
Yeah.
whatever the heck. So there is some prep, but I think the no prep guys, it's become like a caricature um of who they're arguing against. It's like, no, you are prepping, it's just not
Yeah.
a railroad. That's really what the no prep guys are arguing
I am
against.
so
But
sorry. I'm being
go ahead.
called away. I apologize.
Go ahead. I will just pontificate for the next few minutes about um why everyone should go and pick up Gods of the Forbidden North if you haven't yet. um yeah, it's a very comprehensive book. I like the lore. I'm sorry, I think the lore is like provided. It's more than just like these character arcs that he was focused on. He goes into the cultures um in Titherian, the 3 major ones. Well, one of them sort of like a catch-all, but and it's fantastic. And gives, you just read through it, you don't even have to memorize it, just skim it, so you have the basic idea of what these cultures are like. Like he said, he's got the Inuit and the Romans, and then he's got like the Wujan, which are kind of, I guess they're supposed to be Asian, but like I'm using it more like a catch-all, so it's like Norse Asians. It's anybody who's not Roman or Inuit. um and yeah, it just makes for like such a great immersive setting. Like, I don't know, I will defend the lore dump. Well, not the lore dump, but the use of like uh detailed lore. It gives you everything you It gives you everything you, the game master, need for those moments of no prep, where your players do something completely unexpected. You have this thing that you can tap into, floating in the back of your mind. Lord Mattis, what do you prefer, Old School Essentials or Shadow Dark? Ooh, great question. I'm going to say Shadow Dark, but with an asterisk. Old School Essentials, is rooted in the BX tradition. And if someone was like, hey, I'd like to play an OSR game, my go-to is going to be Lamentation. So old OSC is just kind of too generic for me at this point. Shadow Dark is different enough to keep me kind of interested, but yeah, if I were to start Gods of the Forbidden North again, like that campaign, I'd probably just cut to the chase and tell my friends we're going to use Lamentations of the Flame Princess as a game engine, because I really like it, but we'll supplement a few things here and there to keep it from being too dark and weird. Shadow Dark, but not with me running, right? From Death Angel Shadow. I don't know, you're doing an all right job with was it the Crumbling Keep of Kashmir? So,
you're doing all right, man. Hang in there, kid.
Yeah, it's fine. But yeah, no, I think Old School Essentials versus Shadow Dark. I'd choose Shadow Dark, but mostly because it's new for me still. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it would depend on my players. I love OSC. I think you guys are crazy. And everybody's like, it's rooted in BX. No, it is BX.
Well, fair enough.
It's a reproduction of, it's a retelling of.
You're right. You're right.
Anyway, point is, I love Old School Essentials, and I would probably do that. Shadow Dark is growing on me. I've probably, between you, me, and Brian, I think I've been the most resistant to the allure of Shadow Dark, but I do see its advantages. I do, like, as it goes on, and I have a few more experiences with it, and I'm doing a few more things. It's like, yeah, it does have. It seems like every game has that one or two things that the other game doesn't have, and I'm not even talking about the torch timer. Like Shadow Dark, I know I can sit my kids down, roll up some characters, and play Shadow Dark.
Right.
OSC, I'm going to have to explain a few things.
Right. Yeah.
I will not be tracking encumbrance with my youngest. You know what I mean? Like, it's just not going to happen.
Right. Right.
So, not like that. So there's things they do better for different people. But OSC is bad to the bone. I love it. I think it's great. I can't say enough good things about it. That being the case, I don't know. Can I ask, kind of off topic? I've been thinking about North Texas and shopping, right?
Okay.
What I'm going to be looking for. I'm looking for an automatic buy, right?
Like, something that if you see it, you're picking it up.
The thing that I allow myself, I tell myself, you know what? You've been wanting this for a while. When you see it, you're just allowed to go buy it. And I'm cheap I am so cheap. Like, I don't want to ever hand any money over. So it's between Star Wars D6, which is not very expensive, right? Or the Marvel game that I didn't buy last year that I should have bought. What, are you showing off the fact that you have the Star Wars D6 books?
I have a bunch of them. Yeah, I've been collecting them. I got one in a really? I got a slipcase actually. It's like,
did you get the Fantasy Flight reprints?
No, these are yeah. Well, I don't think they're reprints. I think they're like older books I've been like hunting down in various
really? I don't know. I don't remember the Star Wars books coming in a slipcase, but I do know that about 5 or 6 years ago, when Fantasy Flight had the license to Star Wars, they did like a 20 whatever.
Oh, well, yeah, because I have a couple copies of like the main book, and the first edition, the second edition, and then I picked up the slipcase. So the slipcase is probably the Fantasy Flight reprint.
That's so. Why are you getting that? We're about to do an episode about sci-fi games. Why are you collecting Star Wars D6? Is there something I should know?
I've been wanting to run a Star Wars D6 campaign for about a year
Really?
now. Yeah. Real quick, Robert Stanton, dude, I see you saying take care, everyone. Thanks so much for being here. We really appreciate you every week, all the time, man. Again, that was very generous of you. Thank you.
We
Have a great
appreciate it
night.
so much.
Have a
Thanks a
great
lot, Robert.
weekend. Death Angel Shadow, $2 super chat. Again, I'm sorry, everyone. I can't highlight these. I have no idea what's going on back here. Looking forward to your LOTFP game, Lord Mattias. Dude, I'm kind of getting jazzed. Real quick, I'm actually working with Mike Erudite DM on an article for my blog. A little while back, a couple years ago, actually. I was contemplating some of the difficulties that OSR has with modern game design and the modern player. The modern player likes builds, right? They like to put all the bells and whistles. How can you give them a little bit of that without breaking the bank or whatever? Hold on. What's up?
I'm going to bed.
You're going to bed? All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Good night, buddy.
Night, man.
So I keyed up with this idea called backgrounds, where you have like a pool of backgrounds you can choose from based on your character class that allows you to dip into other character class just for a little bit without breaking the niche. And he and I are working on 17th century Paris, France related backgrounds for a Big Tits campaign. Big Terror
Nice.
in the Streets by Kelvin Green. I can't wait. It's going to be fun. Mike has just got all this. He just knows a lot about the history of France at that time period. So it's been great. He's even been correcting my spelling of French words because I don't speak French at all. But anyway, I'm looking forward to it. And I'm looking forward to presenting that as part of like the campaign material. So. And that'll be on Erudite's game channel. It'll be an actual play. So,
Cool, man. How much time we got to fill now that our guest flaked out on this? We got 15 minutes left.
yeah, 15.
Right on. OSC is better than Shadow Dark, but Shadow Dark is growing on me. I think we're good. Lamentations of the Flame Princess. When you say like OSC is too bland for me, right?
Yeah.
Is that the product itself? Like, I don't. What's
Oh
the
no,
big
it's no.
between the gameplay? What is the big difference in gameplay?
It's got nothing to do with gameplay, really. Well, there is some of it. If I'm gonna play a game where I'm fighting goblins and orcs and giants and this, that, and the other thing, I kind of want to be. I've been doing it for years, 40 years, right? I want something that's going to be a little more interesting. And that's why I like Shadow Dark is different. It's different mechanically. It's different. And it's kind of interesting. I like the game loop. I mean, you like talking about the torch timer being the big thing. I disagree. I actually agree with Chubby's analysis. We went to the dungeon. Now we're carousing. Now we're back to the dungeon. Now we're carousing. And that's that game loop that kind of drives the game forward. The torch timer is just there to, I guess, push things once you get into the dungeon. But I like that game loop. It's very clear cut for everybody, and there's a lot of role play opportunities, while doing it. Like I feel like I can do.
Either I'm futzing out or Matt's futzing. Matt,
I'm gonna, I think am I futzing out? I think the four. Anyway, I was gonna say the 4D guys. I think could totally use Shadow Dark. I think they totally can do Shadow Dark.
Absolutely.
But yeah, Lamentations mechanically is similar. I think it's an improvement on, BX and OSE in some ways. But the real difference is the tone, and like I'm not going to be fighting goblins and I'm not going to be fighting orcs. I'm going to be doing really weird shit. And that's interesting. Like at the end of the day, like I just want something that's going to be interesting. So
it's the aesthetic.
Yeah.
Right on. Sounds good. Well, the biggest revelation tonight, other than some of the things that Rob told us, was that you're building a collection of Star Wars D6 books. And
I have the Empire book. I also have the Imperial whatever book. I also have the Rebels handbook. I got a couple of I got a couple others. Yeah, I
There
had
was
an
a
idea.
comment. I don't know who said it, but there was a comment up above. Somebody said, I prefer Genesis Star Wars. And I was going to say, so do I. But every game is for a different group of people. And I don't think the OSR people, I don't think they're ever going. I think very few want to put forth the effort to learn a new system, especially one that's as radically different as Genesis. In fact, I would go so far as to say I know for a fact that not everybody wants to put that effort in. So for this crowd, I think D6 is really the best way to go. You know, when I was rereading it, me and Erudite had a conversation about that a few months back, maybe longer. And I was going through it again. I didn't realize sort of how ticky-tacky, or I had forgotten sort of how ticky-tacky the combat system is. You know, you have phases to each turn, and
Yep.
it's, you know, it's sticky. I completely forgot about that.
Yeah. I still would have to. I'm still like I'm not ready to just like start playing and running a star. I still have to like relearn a lot of it. And the way I learned how to play, actually, we didn't use the templates. The
You
guys,
did character builds.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
the dice.
yeah. So when I first picked up the book, I don't know, like a year ago, and started perusing it, maybe it was 2 years ago, I was kind of like confused. I'm like, where are the templates? Where do I build a character? Why am I going to templates? Like, and it's actually in the second edition book, I think, that I had to go hunt down. So, but yeah, I don't know. I there's a lot I'd have to relearn, but I have a neat idea, I think, for a campaign.
I think the templates are in the original Star Wars are really great for getting players just going. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Hey,
Oh, I
here's your
agree.
template. You got a couple dice, and it's great to get going. I also have used the templates in the past when I know that, hey, we're going to do a military adventure. Then I will say, these are the templates that you guys can choose from.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
that kind of, and everybody's like, no, you can't do that. Well, I don't want your scholar in the middle of my battlefield. This is a military campaign,
Yeah,
bro.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
Get all
yeah.
that bullshit out of here.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, I'm looking forward to whatever happens. If you're investing, but knowing you, Matt, like it's going to be 3 years away. Like 3 years from now, you're going to be like, hey, Gary, podcast is over. We've ended everything, but I'm starting a Star Wars D6 game. I'm going to play. Sure,
I have
Matt.
too many. I have too many campaigns and games I want to play. It's hard to pick which one. That's why I'm really excited about the Lamentations game with Erudite's crew. And yeah, with Gods of the Mid North scratching my, I don't know, 1-to-1 time itch. I guess I'm going to be pretty good for a while. But I wouldn't mind putting together Star Wars game. I think that'd be interesting. I have a really great idea, a couple great ideas for villains and like everything and like all the factions. And it will have nothing to do with Luke Skywalker. That's fantastic. It's great.
Oh yeah, I've played a lot of Star Wars games, and only I can count the number of times I've used like the canon characters.
Yeah.
The best thing to do is just, you know, they're out there, but who cares because you're here.
Right.
You know,
Exactly.
Not going to bump into them.
Yep.
So, yeah, I did a Star Wars. I did an Edge of the Empire campaign where the first movie in the trilogy, they were just a team kind of by themselves, Mission Impossible style, with like a 2 Y-wings, and they had to complete this mission, and it was so much fun. And in the second one, they had command. So there was a little bit of that group adventuring, but towards the middle of it, you know, the soldiers, you know, they had a squad.
Sure.
The fighter were leading a squad, and we never got to the third one. The third one was going to be the all-out military big army battles, but I think I got divorced. Had to move or something. So, oh my
at
goodness.
most, just texted, said, I had a good chat with Rob. Awesome. Well, I'm glad you did, man. I love Rob. Rob's such a great guy. And I'm glad he's a friend of the show. Yeah, the idea I have is well, I don't want to give it away in case you play in it. So never mind. I'll tell you later. Tell you some other time.
I know I've been waiting for this show to be over because I had there's this project I've been working on for about a year and a half, and I make jokes about it all the time, but I think I had a breakthrough while we were talking to Rob. I was like, oh, and so I'm waiting for this show to be over so I can be like, Matt, I got it.
Well, listening to him talk got me thinking too about something I've been
He makes me want to play D&D again, just so you know. Like,
oh really?
I'm just like, yeah, I just anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, Raji, I pitched something to Raji a couple weeks ago, and I think he's interested in it because he asked a bunch of questions, and they were really good questions that got me thinking. But he said something that made me go, ooh. And he's like, so the players in an entire city get transported to another planet and they're not going to explore the other planet. What fun is that? And I'm like, so you want me to do a hex crawl on a brand spanking new planet? Okay. So I've been like working on a rewrite, and like listening to Rob talk got me thinking about how to do it. So yeah, see, there you go. The first of our series was a success. We learned a thing or two. So
yeah. No, I think that's really good. I'm getting Rob's texting me.
okay.
I'm just getting like this chain text from Rob. I think he might be another drink in or so.
Well, I hope he's having a good time, Gary Con, man. You know, he's not doing a table or anything. He's just chilling, right? Yeah, oh, Death Angels channel. I'm down for an SW game too, Lord Mattis. Well, there you go, brother. I'll put you on the list.
So I just want everybody who wants to play in Matt's Star Wars game know that we're roughly, now that we've talked about it publicly, we're about a year and a half away from it getting started. So maybe in the interim, I'm just saying, don't hold the place on your calendar for it right now.
All right, now you're throwing the gauntlet down. Now I'm going to have to do this. Aaron, I see. Thank you very much, man. Super show. Great. Thank you. Yes, we appreciate that, dude. Really do. Hit like and subscribe, bell icon. I never announce this enough. I'm like the worst streamer ever. But yeah, and tell your friends. And make sure they hit like and subscribe and all that stuff. I'm sorry, Gary, you were saying?
Nothing. No. Don't throw it back on me.
Oh, I was just doing the.
Well, we're wrapping up. Listen, hey, thank you guys for being here. Thanks, Rob, for being here. Don't have a whole lot else to say. We're hoping in about another 3 to 4 months, we're going to get another creator who's actually created the world that people know about. And we're going to do as many of these as we can do. There's also not just maybe published worlds, but there's a few things that you hear about from different people, that games that they've played in that have kind of risen, people that the whispers have been out there. So maybe something like that as well. But I'm looking forward to it because everybody, if you're a DM, and I promise you 90% of our viewers are DMs, if not more, it should be interesting to see how everybody puts it together.
Yeah, that's the thing I really want to see. Cause like we said, like Chubby's going to have very different answers to some of the questions and the topics. So, and I think that'll be very insightful to anybody who's interested in world design, whether for publication or just for your home games, So, but yeah, well, I guess that's it. Sorry about all the technical difficulties we were having, but well, I'm actually going to probably send an email to Restream because there's a couple things. Yeah, you're damn right. I'm gonna give them what for.
And they're gonna pay attention to you.
Yeah, I know.
They're gonna read your email and go, "Holy shit, this guy's right, boss." And they're gonna run it straight up like a fucking Coen Brothers movie, Hudsucker Proxy. Look. Anyway, sorry.
All right. All right. Well, guys, thank you so much as always. The chat is as always is fantastic. We loved your questions. Thank you so much for all the super chats. Again, Robert in particular, thank you very much. And but with that, next week, fingers crossed, I gotta double check with him, but Chris Miller of Mad Scribe Games is going to be on. We're going to talk about his magazine, the importance of that's him for the hobby. So hope to see you next week. But otherwise, our watch is ended, guys. We'll see you. Have a great weekend.
Later, dog.